Welcome back to part 2 of A Day in the Life of a Sourdough Baker. Good morning, y'all. Thank you, Jesus. It's another beautiful sunrise. Welcome back to part 2 of my A Day in the Life as a Baker. My ovens are preheating, and also I have my Dutch ovens preheating with my ovens. Now, this is a shot that I didn't show you in my previous videos. These are my sourdough loaves that are pre-shaping. So I do pre-shaping. That is before you do your actual shaping, and it helps, and you let them sit in that state for about half an hour, and that just kind of helps the dough to relax and make shaping a lot easier. Now there I'm brushing off the excess flour and I'm scoring. So this is about 16 hours later. My loaves have cold proofed in the refrigerator in my Banningtons for 16 hours. Now they are ready to go in the oven, so I'm just scoring them. Scoring helps it teaches your dough how to rise. In other words, if you don't score your loaves and you put them in the oven, they will score themselves. And what happens is you get like huge cracks and splits every which way. So by you doing the scoring, you are teaching the bread in what direction to rise and where you want those splits and cracks to go, because it's going to do it on its own. Whether you do it or not, that bread is going to split. So by you doing the splitting, which is what we call scoring, you're just teaching your sourdoughs how to behave. And here is a close shot of my whole wheat sours. Now, my Dutch ovens are preheated in the oven. Normally, I bake with 2 ovens, but this morning I have other things to bake off, which is typical, and I kind of wanted to get everything done at the same time today. So I'm just splitting my work between my 2 ovens. One thing I do want to say about baking with Dutch ovens, the reason why you bake with them is because you put a lid on, you lock the steam into the bread, and that allows it a little bit more time to rise before your sourdough wild yeast eventually dies and your dough stops rising. But by putting the lid on that Dutch oven, you kind of give it a little bit more time to rise. And I'm just removing my scones from my top oven. And after so many minutes of baking, I remove my lids from my Dutch oven, and that way the bread can begin to brown, because it won't brown inside of the Dutch oven, not like the way you want it. So now they are done and ready to come out of the oven. And one thing I do want to say about baking with Dutch ovens, these things are extremely heavy, and it is not funny. It is not fun hefting those heavy things from my bottom oven. But hey, somebody's got to do it. And now I'm just rotating my scones. And here's another shot of scoring. And baking with Dutch ovens, you do want to use good quality, heavy duty Dutch ovens. Don't use cheap, inexpensive pots. A Dutch oven will take the heat from an oven. And sometimes my ovens can be at 500 degrees apiece. And so that's pretty much 1,000 degrees in my oven. You need some really good, strong, sturdy Dutch ovens to withstand that amount of heat, constantly. If you only bake a couple of times, it's fine. But if you're constantly baking, those Dutch ovens are going through a lot. So make sure you invest in good quality Dutch ovens. And these liners really, really protect your hands, because if you use parchment paper, you can kind of, your fingers are a little too close to a screaming hot Dutch oven. So these liners that I have, you see where I'm lifting it out? It makes it easy to get the bread out of the Dutch oven, and also keeps your fingers far away from that screaming hot Dutch oven. So the loaves are done, and I'm putting the Dutch ovens back in the oven, ready to go for another round of baking. Now here's a close-up shot of my scones. These are my raspberry white chocolate scones. And here's a close-up shot of the finished loaves. And I divide them by the type that they are by shelves. So the whole wheat goes on one shelf and the white wheat goes on another shelf. Because once they bake, sometimes it's a little difficult to tell who's who. Now, the loaves, this is about 3 hours later. My loaves are cooled completely. Now it's time to package them up and get them labeled. This is my favorite part, because not only do I know I'm finished, my ovens are off, the kitchen is cooling down, but then you can really get back, sit back and see the pretty loaves, and you hope and pray everybody feels the love and the care that you put into sourdough baking, because Sourdough baking is a lot of work. It's labor-intensive work. And there, I'm doing a little stretch. When you stand up on your feet baking for 16, 18 hours a day, you have to do those little stretches. So I'm adding my labels, and I also add a thank you label to the back of the bread, just, so people can understand you are thankful and you hope they enjoy all your hard work that you put into it. And also product labels, so everybody know exactly what they're buying, what's in it, who made it, and all of those things. And I love these bread bags because they give you a little glimpse into what's inside of the package, and also keeps your bread nice and fresh, and everything's good. Now, this is my labels, and I actually had to cut the labels list in half because it's very long, but I'm getting everything packaged up. There, I'll give you a little close shot of my breads. And by the way, all of my breads are vegan. And those breads at the top shelf behind me, those are my multi-grain loaves. They are vegan as well. It's like a nutty, well, there's no actual nuts, but it's like seedy wheat loaves. They're really good. It's actually one of my favorite breads. And getting all my labels on things. Then I'm going to get everything boxed up, get it in the car, and get myself ready to head down the road to the farmer's market, because you're on a time schedule and you got to get there on time and get yourself set up on time. There's another close shot of my country loaves, which incidentally is my best seller. Get everything boxed up in the boxes, and we are getting ourselves ready to head out the door and head off, and people can come and pick up their freshly baked loaves. I hope you have enjoyed this sneak peek into a day in the life of a baker, a day in my life as a baker. Stay tuned for more sourdough videos. In the meantime, take care, y'all. Lord willing, I'll see you in another video. Bye.